Hello, my name is Frank Educational Gilmore, representing Educational Gilmore Speaks LLC. Welcome to 28 Days of Blackness, where we celebrate the impact and contribution of Black individuals today. Today we will be exploring the life of Elijah McCoy, aka the real McCoy, a Black Canadian American, an inventor, an engineer, someone who's responsible for a significant contribution to the Industrial Revolution. Elijah McCoy was born in or around the 1840s. As a young child, he was very intrigued by things and how things worked. Elijah McCoy's parents understood the importances of education, so much so that Dad worked countless hours to ensure that Elijah McCoy was able to go to a trade school where he learned mechanical engineering. In fact, what happened was his mother and his father escaped from slavery via the Underground Railroad. So Elijah was born in Canada. Then subsequently they moved back to the US. And then as they were here in the US, they sent Elijah to Europe. So even after he got educated in Europe, came back to the US, he was unable to find a job in his field. Thus, he took a job working on the Michigan Railroad station. And as he was on that job, he was around what he knew. He was around what he loved. He's working with trains. He was responsible for lubricating moving parts, i.e. engines, axles, and things of that nature. And he was just taken aback that the train would stop and it had to be lubricated. So in that genius mind of his, he said, how can we create something that won't have so many interruptions? So Elijah McCoy became a trailblazer. He invented the self-lubricating device that was able to help the engines, that were able to constantly lubricate all of the moving mechanisms as the train traveled. And if you know anything about the railroad industry and the Industrial Revolution in America and how we as a society and as a country benefited so much from the Industrial Revolution, he's essentially the architect behind making sure people were getting their goods in an efficient manner. He created this oil lubricator so no longer did trains had to stop mid-trip or a quarter way through the trip. The term the real McCoy refers to Elijah McCoy being the great architect that he is as it relates to creating this self-lubricating device. Because as you know, people always try to imitate and duplicate things that are done. So that's what they tried to do. They tried to imitate what Elijah was doing. They tried to duplicate what Elijah was doing. Individuals who were in charge of these railroad stations said, if we're going to get a device, we must have the real McCoy. We must have something that's authentic, genuine, that's made properly. So we have to have the real McCoy. There's a direct correlation in my life that I make to Elijah McCoy, because there was a time in my life where things wasn't so bright and I could have easily just given up. But I said, no, I'm going to educate myself much like my brother Elijah McCoy did. And then took said education, came back and applied it, not just for selfish means, for means to help an entire community, for means to help a huge group of people. I've learned so much covering my brother Elijah McCoy. I'm urging you to look into influential people in American history, which is also Black history, and find individuals who you see parallels in their life with your life. I'm also urging you to take it a step further, to dive in, to dig deep. And if you need a good starting point, please visit the28daysofblackness.com. Engage, indulge, be informed. Join us next time as we continue to uncover the untold stories that shape the 28 days of Blackness. I'm Frank Gilmore, and thank you for being with us today.